The year was 2087, and humanity had finally achieved what many once thought impossible: faster than light travel. After decades of research, failed experiments and breakthrough discoveries, Earth stood at the threshold of a new era of exploration. Captain Olivia Martinez sat in the command chair of the U.S. Pioneer, Earth's first FTL-capable vessel. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her eyes reflected the stars visible through the main view screen. The ship hummed with energy as the crew prepared for their historic jump. Engine room reports. All systems green, Captain said. Lieutenant Jack Miller from his station. His fingers moved quickly across the control panel, his face tense with concentration. Olivia nodded. Communications, all channels clear. Houston, standing by, replied. Communications Officer Kate Davis. The captain took a deep breath. Humanity's first journey beyond the solar system was about to begin, and the weight of that responsibility pressed on her shoulders. 250 souls aboard, representing the best Earth had to offer. Begin final countdown, she ordered. Destination Alpha Centauri. The ship's AI started counting down from 10. The crew fell silent, each person aware they were living through a moment that would be in history books forever. 3, 2, 1. Initiating FTL drive. The stars on the view screen stretched into lines, and a slight vibration passed through the ship. Then, with a flash that no one could quite describe, later they were gone. The journey took only 8 hours. When they emerged, Alpha Centauri's light flooded the bridge. We made it, whispered Science Officer Greg Paddle, his eyes wide with wonder. We actually made it. Celebrations were cut short when sensors began beeping urgently. Captain, I'm detecting an object on approach, said Jack, suddenly tense. It's massive, and it's not one of ours. Olivia leaned forward. On screen, what appeared before them defied easy description. A ship clearly, but unlike anything humans had built. It seemed to shimmer slightly with smooth lines that curved in ways that suggested advanced engineering beyond Earth's capabilities. Open all frequencies. Standard greeting package, ordered Olivia. Minutes passed. With no response, the crew grew increasingly nervous as the alien vessel drew closer. Captain, they're scanning us, Greg reported, studying his readouts. Very intensive scans. They're looking at everything. Suddenly the main screen flickered and an image appeared. The bridge crew gasped. Collectively, the being on screen had grayish-blue skin with faint patterns across its face. Large almond-shaped eyes regarded them with what seemed like surprise. Humans, it said, the word coming through perfectly in English. You are far from your world. Olivia stood, straightening her uniform. I am Captain Olivia Martinez of the Earthship Pioneer. We come in peace. The alien made a gesture that might have been amusement. I am Survey Commander Rack of the Sorathian Empire. Your presence here is unexpected. Your species was not predicted to achieve FTL travel for at least another century. Jack shot a concerned look at his captain. How do they know about us? He wondered. We would like to establish diplomatic relations, Olivia continued, maintaining her composure. The aliens seem to consider this. Perhaps you have arrived at an interesting time. Captain, the Galactic Council is holding its centennial gathering. Your sudden appearance will certainly be of interest to them. The Galactic Council, Olivia repeated, the governing body of civilized space, Pexerac explained with What sounded like condescension, "We will escort you, your ship will follow ours." As the communication ended, Jack moved closer to the captain. "I don't like this," he said quietly. "Did you hear how they talk to us, like we're children who wandered into the wrong room?" Olivia nodded grimly. "I noticed, but we're here now, and this is humanity's first contact. We need to proceed carefully." The Pioneer followed the alien vessel deeper into the Alpha Centauri system. Ahead of them lay mankind's introduction to a galactic community they never knew existed, one that had apparently been watching Earth all along, and based on tone, humanity wasn't going to be welcomed as equals. The U.S. Pioneer followed the Thor Lathian ship for 3 days through a series of jump points. Captain Olivia Martinez tried to memorize the route, but the alien navigation system was beyond her understanding. Finally, they arrived at their destination. "My God," whispered Kate as the view screen showed their new location. Before them floated a massive space station. It looked like a giant silver wheel with spokes connecting to a central hub. Ships of various designs moved around it like bees around a hive. The council station announced Exor attack over the communication channel. "You will dock at Bay 94. A delegation will meet you there." Ambassador William Clark joined Olivia on the bridge. The tall gray-haired diplomat had been briefed throughout the journey. "This is it," he said, straightening his formal suit. "Humanity's introduction to Galactic Society." Olivia nodded. "I'm bringing Lieutenant Miller and Dr. Palmer with us." After docking, the small human group walked down the Pioneer's ramp. The air in the docking bay smelled faintly metallic. 4 aliens waited for them, 2 Sarithians and 2 beings of a species they hadn't seen before with green skin and rid-like features. "Welcome to Council Station," said one of the green aliens. "I am Zarlon Jr., assessor for the Galactic Council. We will escort you to the assessment chamber." Jack leaned towards Susan. "Palmer, assessment chamber. I don't like the sound of that." The humans were led through wide corridors filled with aliens of at least a dozen different species. Some looked almost human, while others were completely unlike anything from Earth. Many stopped to stare at the newcomers. "They're looking at us like we're zoo animals," Susan whispered. The assessment chamber was a large room with a semicircular table where 7 aliens sat. Behind them stood representatives from what seemed like dozens of worlds. Approach commanded a tall silver-skinned being at the center. Ambassador Clark stepped forward. "I am William Clark, representing Earth and humanity. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to establish diplomatic relations with the galactic community." The silver being's expression didn't change. "I am High Assessor Villainer. This council has monitored your species for centuries. Your sudden achievement of FTL travel has forced this unscheduled assessment." William tried to hide his surprise. "You've been watching us, all developing worlds are monitored," explained. "Now you will answer our questions." For the next 3 hours, the humans were interrogated about Earth's history, technology, political systems, and military capabilities. The council members' questions were often condescending, treating human achievements as primitive curiosities. "Your species still fights among itself over resources and ideology," noted one council member with disgust. "We've made great progress toward unity," William argued. Zarlon made a dismissive gesture. "You've barely begun. Most Species achieve planetary unity before developing space travel. During a brief recess, Dr. Susan Palmer accessed the data terminal with permission from their guides. Her eyes widened as she read. "Captain," she said quietly when she returned to the group, "according to their records, the Council has been manipulating developing species for millennia. They control which technologies spread and which don't." Jack frowned. "So they decide who gets to join their club before they could discuss further. They were called back. No stood to deliver the Council's decision. Earth is classified as a type 3 developing species. You may maintain your current technology level, but are forbidden from expanding beyond your solar system until reassessment in 50 Earth years." William stepped forward. "With all due respect, we've already demonstrated our ability to travel beyond our system. A premature development," said Zarl undismissibly. "You'll need centuries to reach our level. This restriction is for your own protection." Olivia could barely contain her anger. "You can't simply fence us in." "We can and we have," No replied coldly. "Monitoring station will be established near your world. Any vessel attempting unauthorized travel will be turned back." As they were escorted away, Jack moved closer to Olivia. "They think we're children," he muttered. "No," said Susan, her voice tight with anger. "They think we're pets or resources to be managed." Olivia looked back at the Council chamber, her jaw set firmly. "Then we and LT Unc and GT LL just have to prove them wrong." 10 years passed since the Galactic Council's harsh judgment of humanity. On the surface, Earth appeared to comply with the Council's restrictions. Official ships stayed within the solar system. Official representatives maintained polite but cool relations with the alien monitoring station near Jupiter, but humans were never good at accepting limits. Deep within an asteroid base hidden in the Kuiper Belt, Colonel Frank Johnson watched as workers installed a new engine core in an unmarked vessel. The ship had no name, only a numerical designation, X-42. It was the 10th of its kind, built in secret over the past decade. "How's the new shield coming along?" Frank asked the man next to him. Dr. Henry Watson pushed his glasses up his nose. "Better than expected. Our tests show it can deflect the Council's scanning beams. They won't see us unless they're looking right at us with their eyes." Frank nodded with satisfaction. "In the engine modifications, we've reverse engineered their tech and improved it," Henry said with pride. "It's 20% more efficient than the Sorthium models we analyzed. They never expected us to understand their technology so quickly." The two men walked through the bustling hidden base. Hundreds of people worked on various projects, all dedicated to one goal: breaking free from the Council's control. Similar bases existed throughout the outer solar system, all hidden from the Council's monitoring. "Any word from our friends?" Frank asked. Henry smiled. "The Trell sent another data package. They've been under Council restrictions for 300 years. They're very eager to help us." The Trell were one of several species who had secretly reached out to humans after news spread through underground channels about Earth's resistance to Council authority. These species have been classified as developing for centuries, kept in technological stasis, while the dominant Council races exploited their resources. The Andorans sent a shield specifications too, Henry continued. Between that and our own innovations, we're making progress faster than anyone thought possible. In another section of the base, engineers worked on weapons systems. The council had expected humans to accept their ruling meekly. They didn't understand humanity's long history of fighting against oppression. Frank's communication device beeped. "Colonel, we've captured an intruder near Sector 7, came a voice. 20 minutes. Later, Frank stared through a clear barrier at their prisoner. The alien had the distinctive features of a Krelvor, one of the council's primary intelligence gatherers. How did he find us? Frank asked the security chief. Bad luck. He was following an energy signature from an unrelated source and stumbled upon our outpost, said the chief. He only saw the outer perimeter. Before we caught him, the alien stared back with large black eyes. You are violating council directives, it said in perfect English. Your species will be sanctioned. Frank approached the barrier. How many others know about this base? My ship is due to report back in 3 days, the Krelvor replied. When I fail to check in, they will investigate. This was a problem. Frank called an emergency meeting with the base leadership. Representatives joined via secure channels from hidden facilities across the solar system. We need more time, argued Alice Dawson, head of the engineering division. We're close to completing the fleet, but we're not ready for open conflict. Sam Reeves, military strategist, disagreed. The council will increase monitoring now. We need to accelerate our plans. As they debated, news arrived from Earth. Council representatives had called an emergency meeting with Earth's government. Somehow they had learned about unauthorized human activities. They're suspicious, but they don't know everything. Frank told the group. We have hours, maybe days, before they figure out the full scope of our operation. The leadership came to a decision. It was earlier than planned, but they had no choice. Contact our allies, Frank ordered. Tell them it's time to implement Phase 1 across the solar system. Hidden ships powered up their engines. On Mars, a manufacturing facility began mass producing components that had been designed in secret in underwater bases on Europa. Specialized troops prepared for deployment. The rebellion was beginning. Years ahead of schedule, the council was about to discover they had made a grave error in their assessment of humanity's capabilities and determination. What they thought would take centuries had taken only a decade. The Proxima Centauri system was quiet when the council enforcement fleet arrived. 6 large warships dropped out of faster than light travel and moved toward the 4th planet. Their mission was simple: find and destroy the unauthorized human outpost that intelligence suggested was hidden there. What they didn't expect was that the humans were waiting for them. Commander Diane Russell sat in a command chair of the hidden base beneath Proxima Centauri IV surface. The base had been built 3 years ago, far beyond Earth's solar system, in direct violation of the Council's restrictions. They're here, reported her sensor officer. 6 Sarathan heavy cruisers, just as our intelligence predicted. Diane nodded calmly. Are our systems still masked? Yes, Commander, they're scanning, but our shield tech is working. They can't detect us yet. Diane activated the base-wide communication system. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. Throughout the underground facility, 200 men and women moved with purpose. They had trained for this moment for years. Most had never expected to be the first humans to engage in combat with an alien force, but they were ready. Let them get closer, Diane ordered. We want them in optimal range before we spring the trap. The Council ships moved into orbit around the planet and began intensive scanning. Their commanders were confident they had dealt with upstart species before. Humans were primitive and had only recently developed space travel. Any human presence here would be easily detected and destroyed as an example to Earth. They're launching landing craft, reported the sensor officer. 20 drop ships heading for the surface near our location. Diane smiled grimly. Perfect. Activate defense grid Alpha. Hidden weapons platforms emerged from the planet's surface. They were based on Andorian technology, but improved by human engineers. Before the Council ships could react, the platforms fired. 3 of the drop ships exploded immediately. 4 more were damaged and spun out of control. The others pulled up sharply, trying to escape. Cruisers are powering weapons, came the report. Activate our shield system and launch the drones, Diane ordered. Protective energy field spread over the human base. Just as the cruisers opened fire, the bombardment shook the ground, but caused no damage. Meanwhile, 50 small unmanned ships shot up from hidden silos across the planet's surface. These drones were Earth's secret weapon, based on Council technology, but modified ways the aliens had never considered. They moved faster and were more maneuverable than anything the Council had seen before. Drones engaging enemy ships, the weapons officer announced. On the main screen, Diane watched as the small craft swarmed around the massive Council cruisers. The aliens were clearly confused by the tactics. Their weapons were designed to hit large targets, not small, fast-moving drones. 2 of the cruisers sustained heavy damage as the drones targeted their engine sections. A third lost its main weapon array. They're trying to regroup, noted Diane's second in command, Major Paul Garcia. They didn't expect resistance at all, much less effective resistance. The communication system suddenly activated. A stern alien face appeared on screen. The commander of the Council fleet. Humans, he said clearly, struggling to maintain his composure. Your presence in this system violates Council directives. Surrender immediately or face complete destruction. Diane stood up straight. This is Commander Diane Russell of the Earth Coalition. We do not recognize the Council's authority to restrict our movement or development. We have claimed this planet legally under Earth law. Your unprovoked attack constitutes an act of war. The alien commander seemed stunned by her response. You cannot hope to defeat us. The Council controls thousands of worlds. Perhaps, Diane replied calmly, but not this one. You have 10 minutes to withdraw your forces, or we will consider this an escalation, requiring appropriate response. As if to emphasize her point, another cruiser reported serious damage from the drone attacks. The Council commander cut the communication. Minutes later, the damaged fleet began to pull back. They're retreating, Paul said with surprise. Diane shook her head. No. They're regrouping. This was just the first engagement. Now they know we're here and they know we can fight. She turned to her communications officer. Send word to Earth and all our outposts. The Proxima incident has begun. News of the Proxima incident spread quickly through Council space. The governing body called an emergency session, and Earth was ordered to send representatives immediately. Earth complied, sending Ambassador Lisa Peterson to face the Council's anger. The Grand Chamber was packed with representatives from hundreds of worlds. The mood was tense as Lisa walked to the center of the floor. At 45, she had been a diplomat for most of her career, but nothing had prepared her for this. You stand accused of serious violations of Council directives, declared High Councilor Zethran, his voice echoing through the chamber. Unauthorized expansion beyond your system, illegal technology development, and armed resistance against Council enforcement vessels. Lisa stood tall. The Council's restrictions on humanity were imposed without our consent and without justification. We have the right to explore and settle new worlds. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Most species simply accepted Council rulings without question. You were classified appropriately as a developing species. Zethran responded, the restrictions were for your own protection. Protection. Lisa raised an eyebrow. Or control. We have evidence suggesting otherwise. While Lisa kept the Council occupied with diplomatic arguments, events elsewhere were unfolding according to plan. In a quiet corner of the station, Dr. Jason Howard worked quickly at a data terminal. He had arrived as part of the Earth delegation, but with a secret mission. The Council archives contained millions of years of records. Most species never questioned what they were told about galactic history. Humans had never stopped questioning. I'm in, Jason whispered into his hidden communicator. Downloading now. Back on Earth, analysts began receiving the data. It confirmed their suspicions. Council had been systematically suppressing technological advancement of all species for millennia. Worlds were classified as developing, not based on their actual progress, but on the Council's assessment of their usefulness and compliance. Most shocking was the discovery about Earth itself. According to a classified report, Earth had been scheduled for resource harvesting. Within the next century, the planet would be stripped of valuable materials, its population relocated to work colonies. In the Council chamber, Lisa continued her diplomatic dance. Humanity requests a review of our classification. We believe we have demonstrated sufficient advancement to be recognized as a full member species. Your demonstration was an act of aggression, snapped Axer Lathian representative. As the debate continued, Lisa received a subtle signal that Jason had succeeded. It was time for the next phase. High Counselor, before you rule on Earth status, I would like to introduce some allies who support our position. At that moment, representatives from 3 species stood up in different parts of the chamber. The Andorans, the Trell, and most surprisingly, the ancient Dravics, whose empire had remained neutral in Council politics for thousands of years. We stand with the humans, announced the Dravics elder, shocking the assembly. Their classification was unjust, as was hours long ago. The Council chamber erupted in chaos. This was unprecedented. Zethran banged his ceremonial staff for order. This changes nothing, he declared. Earth remains restricted and now faces sanctions for its violations. Council enforcement fleets will establish a blockade around the Sol system until humans demonstrate proper compliance. Lisa made a slight hand gesture, a signal to her team. Across Council space, prepositioned. Human ships and their allies made. Coordinated moves, 3 subjugated. Worlds declared independence. Simultaneously, Council monitoring. Stations went dark, the carefully planned rebellion had begun. Hi. Counselor, Lisa said calmly amid the uproar, I regret to inform you that sanctions will be difficult to enforce. As we speak, the coalition of free species is being formed. Earth is a founding member, along with 12 other worlds who reject Council authority. Zethran's face darkened with rage. This is treason against galactic order. No. Lisa replied firmly, this is liberation. From unjust rule, you made a critical mistake when you dismissed humans as simple and primitive. We have a long history of fighting against oppression. And we never ever give up. As she spoke, news arrived that the Dravix Empire had officially broken neutrality and joined the human-led coalition. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted dramatically 3 months after the formation of the coalition of free species. The galaxy was in turmoil. What began as a human rebellion had sparked an uprising across dozens of worlds. Species that had been classified as developing for centuries were breaking free from Council control. Admiral Peter Garcia stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Freedom, studying the holographic display of coalition fleet movements. At 52, Peter had spent his entire career in Earth Space Forces. Now he commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled, working alongside alien allies. The Trill fleet has secured the Vidian system, reported his second command, Captain Laura Hayes, and the Andorians have disabled the Council monitoring stations in 3 more sectors. Peter nodded with satisfaction. And our operation at Century Beta successful, sir. The Council garrison surrendered with minimal fighting. The war was going better than anyone had expected. The Council had ruled for so long that they had grown complacent. They never imagined that the species they had oppressed would unite against them, and they certainly never expected those species to fight so effectively. Admiral, incoming transmission from Coalition Command, announced the communications officer. The face of General Ben Foster appeared on screen. Admiral Garcia, we've received disturbing intelligence. The Council is gathering their main battle fleet at Arcturus. They're planning a major offensive against multiple coalition worlds. Peter studied the new information as it appeared on his display. The Council was bringing together ships from across their territory, the largest military force assembled in centuries. They're finally taking us seriously, Peter said grimly. Too late for them, Ben replied. We've hurt their pride. Now they want to make an example of us. After the transmission ended, Peter called his command staff together. Officers from 5 different species gathered around the strategic table. The Council believes their superior numbers and technology will overwhelm us, Peter explained, but they still don't understand who they're fighting. He turned to his chief tactical officer. Implementation status of project. Wildcard ready, Admiral. All coalition ships have been fitted with the new systems. Project Wildcard was a human innovation developed by combining technologies from 3 different species in a way none of them had considered before. It allowed ships to mask their energy signatures and appear as a different class of vessel. Good. Now let's show them how humans fight. When we're backed into a corner, 3 days Later, the Council's Grand Fleet arrived at the Titty system, where intelligence suggested a major coalition base was located. 80 warships, the pride of the Council's military might, dropped out of FTL travel in perfect formation. They found only a small defensive force, 20 coalition ships that immediately began retreating. Pursue and destroy ordered. Council Commander Voss Tyler, show no mercy to these rebels. The Council fleet gave chase exactly as Peter had planned. The retreating coalition ships led them straight into a carefully prepared trap hidden behind Taz City's fourth planet were 50 coalition warships, their energy signatures masked by Wilcar technology. As the Council fleet passed the planet, Peter gave the order, all ships attack pattern Delta. Hit them from behind. The coalition fleet emerged from hiding and struck the rear of the Council formation. At the same moment, the retreating ships turned and engaged from the front. The Council fleet was caught in a devastating crossfire. They've jammed our communications, reported a Council officer in panic. We can't coordinate our response. Voss Taylor watched in horror as his perfect formation disintegrated into chaos. Coalition ships moved in unpredictable patterns, targeting key vessels with precision. Strikes, human captains led daring attack runs that no Council commander would have attempted, considering them too risky. How can they fight like this? Voss Taylor demanded as another cruiser reported critical damage. It defies all established military doctrine. That was exactly the point. Humans had studied warfare throughout their history. They knew that rigid doctrine created exploitable weaknesses. They fought with flexibility and improvisation, qualities the Council military had long abandoned in favor of overwhelming force and standardized tactics. By the battle's end, over half the Council fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships retreat in disarray. In his command center, Voss Tyler faced the bitter truth. How could we have misjudged them so severely? He asked his surviving officers. The battle of Tacity changed everything. News of the Council's defeat spread rapidly across the galaxy. More worlds joined the coalition. Sensing the shift in power, the Council responded with increasingly desperate measures, committing atrocities against civilian populations on worlds that supported the rebellion. This only strengthened the coalition's resolve. 6 months into the conflict, both sides prepared for what would become the largest space battle Galactic history. The Council had gathered every available ship to defend their primary shipyard at Epsilon Aerodani. Without this facility, they would lose their ability to replace combat losses. The coalition fleet approached the system slowly. Hundreds of ships from 24 species moved in a united front. At their center was the human dreadnought Defiance, commanded by Captain Ellen Ward. All ships in position, reported her tactical officer. Coalition forces are ready. Ellen nodded. At 36, she was one of the youngest officers to command a dreadnought. Her rapid promotion reflected humanity's merit-based approach, something the Council races found bizarre. Their command positions were assigned based on age and political connections. Begin. Phase 1, Ellen ordered. The battle began with a series of fiats and probing attacks. The Council commanders expected this to be a straightforward engagement. Their defensive formation was designed to repel direct assaults against the shipyard. What they didn't anticipate was Sharon White, Chief Engineer Sharon. White had never intended to make history. She had joined Earth space, programmed to build ships, not fight wars. But when the conflict began, her unique understanding of alien technology made her invaluable. Now she stood in the engineering bay of the Defiance, monitoring readings from her latest invention, the adaptive shield. Modifications are holding, she reported. Over the comm, all ships adjust to frequency pattern Delta. The coalition ships modified their shields. Simultaneously, Council weapons that had been effective moments before suddenly caused minimal damage. The Council commanders scrambled to recalibrate their weapons. By the time they adjusted, Sharon had changed the shield frequencies again. I don't understand. Council weapons officer told his commander their shield technology is evolving during battle. This is impossible. The truth was simpler. Humans excelled at adaptation, while Council races developed technologies that remained static for centuries. Humans constantly modified, improved, and combined technologies in new ways. As the battle intensified, Ellen implemented the main attack plan. Coalition forces split into 3 groups, attacking from multiple vectors. The Council commanders struggled to respond to the complex attack pattern. Their formation is breaking, Ellen observed. Move in the heavy cruisers. Target their command ships. Coalition forces pressed their advantage one by one. Council ships were disabled or destroyed. The shipyard's outer defenses fell. Captain called out the communications officer. We're receiving a transmission from inside the shipyard. It's from workers requesting safe passage. Ellen was surprised. Put it through. The screen showed aliens of various species wearing worker uniforms. We are not military, their spokesperson explained. Many of us are from worlds that have joined your coalition. We were brought here as forced labor. This revelation hardened Ellen's resolve. Inform all ships. Shipyard workers are not targets. Provide evacuation corridors. As the battle reached its climax, coalition forces captured the shipyard mostly intact. It was a devastating blow to the Council's military capabilities and a tremendous propaganda victory. After securing the facility, Ellen and her officers discovered something unexpected. Detailed records of Council atrocities against lesser species, stretching back thousands of years. Planets stripped of resources. Populations relocated to work camps. Promising civilizations deliberately held back or destroyed if they showed too much independence. Download everything. Ellen ordered. The galaxy needs to see this. The information was broadcast across all communication channels. The effect was immediate. Several Council member races, horrified by the evidence, declared neutrality. Others openly defected to the coalition. On the Council home world of Celestis, panic spread among the leadership. Their carefully maintained system of control was collapsing. How is this happening? Demanded Grand Counselor Zan. They were nothing but primitives a few decades ago. The lead Council scientist, who had studied humans more carefully than most, offered his assessment. Their adaptability is unlike anything we've encountered in 50,000 years. We categorize them based on their technology but failed to understand their potential for growth. Zetharan stared at the tactical displays showing more Council worlds declaring independence. Can they be stopped? The scientist shook his head slowly. I fear We have already lost, 1 year after the Battle of Epsilon Erodini, the war reached its final stage. The once mighty Galactic Council controlled only a handful of core systems. Their fleets were scattered, their authority broken. Most member species had either joined the coalition or declared independence. Captain Ryan Bennett stood on the bridge of the Earthship Intrepid, leading the coalition assault fleet as it approached Celestis, the Council home world. After countless battles across the galaxy, this would be the final confrontation. All ships report ready, Captain said. His first officer, Karen Lewis. Coalition forces are in position, Ryan nodded. At 38 he had seen more combat than any human in history. What had begun as a fight for freedom had become a campaign to reshape the galaxy. Open a channel to all coalition ships, he ordered. When the channel was ready, Ryan spoke clearly. This is Captain Bennett. Today we end the Council's rule, but remember our mission. We aim to liberate, not conquer. Minimal force against civilian targets. Our fight is with the Council leadership, not their people. The fleet moved into the Celestis system. They expected fierce resistance, but found something surprising. Most of the defensive fleet had been withdrawn to protect the Council chambers on the planet's surface. They've abandoned their people to save themselves, Karen said with disgust. Ryan's face hardened. Then we'll give the people a chance to decide their own fate. Begin landing operations. Coalition forces established control of the orbital platforms with minimal fighting. Many Council military personnel surrendered without resistance, their belief in their superiority finally broken. On the surface, however, the Council's elite guard fought desperately to protect the central chambers where the ruling Council had barricaded themselves. Ryan led the final assault team personally. Coalition soldiers from a dozen species advanced through the grand corridors of the Council headquarters. The fighting was intense but brief. The Council guards, despite their advanced weapons, couldn't match the coordination and adaptability of the coalition forces. Finally, they reached the massive doors of the Council chamber itself. Open the doors, Ryan commanded the Council security systems, or we will open them ourselves. There was a pause, then the huge doors slowly swung open. Inside, the 7 remaining High Councilors sat at their elevated tables, still maintaining their dignity despite their defeat. You have violated the sacred order of the galaxy, declared Grand Councilor Zine. This rebellion will bring chaos to thousands of worlds. Ryan walked forward calmly. What you call order, we call oppression. What you fear is chaos, we see as freedom. The Council's rule is over. In a gesture that shocked everyone, Ryan didn't arrest the Councilors. Instead, he activated a galaxy-wide broadcast system. People of the galaxy, he announced, the coalition has taken control of Celestis. The war is over, but we did not fight to replace one ruling body with another. Each world, each species must decide their own path forward. He turned to the Councilors. You will stand trial for your crimes, but it will be a fair trial, with representatives from all affected worlds. In the days that followed, delegates from hundreds of planets gathered on Celestis. After 200,000 years of Council rule, the galaxy faced an uncertain future. Some feared that without central authority, chaos would spread. Others worried that the coalition would simply become the new Council. But humans had a different vision. 2 weeks after the fall of the Council, the first session of the new Galactic Congress convened. Unlike the Council, which had given power based on age and tradition, the Congress gave equal representation to all member worlds. Ambassador Nicole Harris, representing Earth, addressed the historic gathering. "We have an opportunity to build something new," she said. "Not an empire or a council, but a true community of worlds. We will not always agree, but we will respect each other's rights to self-determination. The mistakes of the past need not define our future." An elder from the ancient Dravix race approached Nickel after the session. His species had watched civilizations rise and fall for millennia. "Your kind is different," he told her. "In all our long history, we have never seen a species fight so hard for freedom, not just for themselves, but for others." He looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's crystal dome. "Perhaps the universe has been waiting for you all along, on a newly terraformed world at the edge of what had once been council space." Human children played alongside the young of a dozen alien species. None of them would grow up under the council's restrictions or be told their potential was limited. The galaxy had been forever changed because the council had made one critical mistake. They had underestimated humans.